So guys, should you buy an RTX 2080 Ti in 2024? Well, the short answer is actually pretty clear, and the answer is yes. However, let's go in depth and let's see what price should you pay for it and which cards you should buy and which other ones you should avoid, because yes, it's not as easy as just saying when a new GPU comes out, yes, this is good value, or no, this is not good value. We are talking specifically about used GPU, so there are a lot of things to consider when buying one, especially since this card actually went through a full round of mining. So let's go ahead. Now, this is part of a little series I'm doing, basically re-reviewing GPUs in 2024 to see if they are good value, since the new market doesn't really satisfy me. I think there are better deals on the used market. So let's get started. How much can you pay for this one and how much should I think is a good price? Now, market price at the moment is around $250 for a very good model like this one I have right here. This is an Asus ROG Strix OC, and they go as low as 200 for bad models. However, if you scout the market good enough, you can buy a good model like this for around $200, or even better, you can buy one in a used PC like what I've done here today. I bought one in a broken PC, and then we went ahead, refurbished the whole thing, wash it down with the garden hose to make it look and run as good as new. Again, the full video about the build and the full video about how I wash computer parts to make them come back to brand new are on the channel. I will put the link to them up here. But anyways, striking price 200 to $250. Whether it's dollars or euros, the markets are pretty much the same. This card came out in 2018 and it has 11 gigabytes of GDDR6X. To this date, this is the biggest GPU die for customers that was ever released by Nvidia. And again, I opened this thing up to repaste it and replace thermal pads, and the thing was massive. If you buy one of these, you should always open it up, change the thermal paste and change thermal pads and put some quality ones. Again, for that too, I do have tutorials on the channel. Now, the PCB on this card definitely show that it's a flagship, because remember, this is on the same league as modern day RTX 3090 and 4090. It was the flagship card, just a tiny bit cut down, coming from the Titan of the time. So again, very high-end card. Connectivity wise, most models will require two 8-pin connectors to power it, and generally they will have about 4 ports. This one has 2 HDMIs, 2 display ports, and it even has the USB-C already for VR and other applications, which is nice. Again, it's a very modern card, as opposed to the GTX 1080 Ti, which we covered recently, and to the older GTX 780, which we also covered. This is basically a modern day card in all due effect, so you don't have any kind of driver limitation or driver issues. This is fully supported on every new modern games. Matter of fact, even the newest technologies like DLSS 3, FrameGen work on this card too. Not officially, but they do work, so you can use DLSS with this card. Speaking of DLSS, let's talk about performance. If you use upscaling technologies, you can play at 4K 60 FPS with this card perfectly fine. This card is absolutely overkill for 1080p, but that makes it a great card. So if you buy it, overclock it, you can max out 300 FPS in Apex Legends. You can easily do over 240 on Fortnite, and you can do close to 200 FPS on Warzone with the right CPU, like for example a very budget Ryzen 7 5800X 3D. 1440p, the target for this card is high refresh rate but not super high, meaning 144 Hz, maybe 165. I wouldn't really go higher on 1440p. Now, how does this card stack against modern day GPUs? Well, when this card came out, all the launch day benchmarks were saying that the RTX 3070 was a beast because it was beating this card, and I trust in the reviewers. I had one of these. I had a water-cooled model with a single 120mm all-in-one water cooler on it, and I gave into reviews, sold my RTX 2080 Ti and bought a 3070, which was not a good idea because this card is actually better than a 3070. First of all, it has 3GB extra VRAM, so it will age better and perform better at high resolutions. But also, as I mentioned before, the PCB is just overall better. So if you were buying a 3070 back when they came out, 3070 is a lower tier card, so on average, the coolers, the design, the PCBs are all worse than an average 2080 Ti, because 2080 Ti was the top of the line flagship card, which came out costing over $1,000 where I live. So this card, even at stock, is better than a 3070, and it has better build quality than a 3070. They also generally look better, as you can see by the Strix right here. Also, something I always say with used GPUs is basically, if you're buying a used one, for very little price difference, you can buy a very good model, like again a Strix, an iChill, maybe a water-cooled one. My favorite RTX 2080 Ti is actually the water-cooled model by EVGA. I had that in my system for a while and it was the best card I've ever owned to this date. It was running at like 50 degrees under full load while being completely quiet, so I definitely recommend it. So if you're picking up a used RTX 2080 Ti, don't buy a single fan blower card, just buy a good model, spend the extra 20 bucks, it's gonna be worth it, and it's gonna be better than buying a used Zotac RTX 3070, for example, or any mid-range card. If you've seen the channel, you know I don't really dislike Zotac. I made a full video about how they're actually pretty good. Now, temperature-wise, it runs pretty well after the repaste and repad, and maybe washing it again with some water, like I recommend. The card runs like brand new and it's not noisy at all. And again, that ties into buying a good model. Now, getting back to how it stacks up, well, if you buy a very good air-cooled model like this one, performance after tweaking it, again, I do have undervolting guys on the channel if you want to tweak your card. Performance is right on par with the RTX 3070 Ti, which makes it superior than the RTX 4060 Ti, but inferior to the RTX 4070 and inferior to the RTX 3080. If you do get a water-cooled or hybrid model, like again the EVGA, or if you buy a full cover one, and put it in a custom loop, you will reach RTX 3080 performance levels. Now, I have on the channel a graphene cooled PC, very old video, the quality is not the best, but I put underwater an RTX 2080 Ti Waterforce from Gigabyte, and that thing was scoring higher than even an out-of-the-box overclocked RTX 3080. Now, speaking about improving the performance, you can actually flash the BIOS on these cards with a 1000 watt Galax BIOS, which will unlock all of your power limits. Now, I recommend doing that mostly if you're underwater or if you have an all-in-one water cooler on your GPU, but if you do, your card is gonna go like 10% more than an overclocked card, which is like a lot to gain. So these cards, again, thanks to the quality of the PCB, thanks to them being the highest end card for Nvidia at the moment, they scale a lot if you have a good card, good cooling, and if you spend some time tinkering with it to make it run its best. You can beat an RTX 4070, you can beat a 3080, but the card really won't go higher than that. You will not reach a 4070 Super. There are simply architectural limitations into there. But again, nowadays you can buy a brand new RTX 4070 Super for maybe 500 bucks, a little bit more. So if you can pay half the price for one of these and make it run properly, I say it's definitely good value for the mid to high range of performance target, still while spending a very minimal amount of money. So this card gets my full recommendation, but I want to hear your opinion down below. Have you had one of these cards? Have you bought one used recently? And if so, what has been your experience? Were them in good conditions or were they mined to exhaustion and gave out on you after a while? I think these cards were not used as much as 3000 series because they were not as efficient in mining. So I think mining shouldn't be the biggest concern of yours when buying one. But again, let me know down below. And if you watched the whole video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more. I cover a lot of more used GPUs on the channel and I also show how to do BIOS mod and BIOS flashing on them. See you guys in the next one. Bye.